I've been a financial advisor now for over 20 years, and in today's video, I want to invite you to go for a walk with me and let's talk about the things that really move the needle for families, the important things, and let's cut out all the noise and all the clutter of a lot of details that, yes, are important, but really pale in comparison to the high level, the things that have the biggest impact on your success preparing for retirement and then entering retirement. So let's start this walk. Okay, so those of you that have watched other videos of mine know that I have three main rules, and these are the high-level rules that I think help people succeed in preparing for retirement. And today we're going to focus on the first rule, which is I don't care how much money you earn, you have to spend less than what you earn, right? The first rule is you have to save some money. The second part is, unfortunately, it's not enough just to save. You also have to invest that money. So we're going to look at this chart that I've put up on the screen here, and we're going to spend some time during our walk talking about this chart. And I like this chart for many reasons. It's just so filled with useful information. The first thing I want to point out is just how long it takes to save your first $100,000. Now, let me walk through the assumptions in this chart. The assumption is the family here is saving just under $1,000 a month. So they're saving $10,000 a year, and they're getting a 7% return on that investment. And so the question is, how long does it take you to earn your first $100,000 to save that up, to build an account balance? And you can see, looking at this chart, it's a little under 8 years. That's a long time that you're sacrificing and putting money away. And frankly, the money that you put away in the early months are not helping you that much. If you look at the bottom of the chart here, it shows that 80%, just about $80,000 of the $100,000, is money that you put into the account. And then the other 20%, 22% came from the earnings on that money. Now this is as bad as it's going to get. The rest of the years, it's going to get easier and easier. Each incremental $100,000 is not only going to get easier, but quite a bit easier. Okay, so how long does it take you to save that second $100,000? To go from $100,000 to $200,000. Instead of almost 8 years, now you can see it takes about 5 years. And importantly, you can see that half of the money in that second $100,000, half of that money was money that you had to save, but the other half of that money was money that was working hard for you. So you had to work hard to put that first $100,000 in, but now as you build to $200,000, that money that you had saved earlier is now helping you along. Now let's go to the third $100,000. So now you're going from saving $200,000 to $300,000. You can see there it's taking you a little under 4 years, and now less than half of the money that took you from $200,000 to $300,000, less than half, 40% of that came from you, and 60% of that money came from your money working hard for you. Okay, now I'm not going to go through each section here, but let's go to like $500,000 to $600,000. Here you can see the tables have turned. Instead of you putting in 80% of the money and 20% coming from the earnings, now the reverse is true. When you're going from $500,000 to $600,000, 80% of that money is from the previous money that you had already saved, the $500,000 that you had already put in. And I also want you to see, it took just a little more than 2 years, 2.14 years, to save that incremental $100,000. So now time and money is working on your side, and it's beginning to seem a lot easier to do this. Every 2 years now, you're increasing your net worth by $100,000. And this is one of the reasons why, you know, oftentimes people are like, Azul, I've been working a long time, I've been saving my money a long time, and I'm still so far from being able to retire. And it's natural to feel that way, but I want you to know you're likely a lot closer than what you think you are because saving that first $100,000, saving that first $200,000, saving that first $300,000 is a heck of a lot harder than going from 700 to 800 or 700 to 900,000 or even 700,000 to $1 million. So let's keep going. What does it take, you know, from 800,000 to 900,000? You can see that person at 7%, they're getting there in a year and a half. And they're only putting in 17%, and their money is providing 83% of the horsepower, 83% of the energy. Now, let's look now on a cumulative basis, how many years that we're looking. So to get to $400,000, we're looking at, if you add it up, right? We had 8 years for the first 100,000, 5 years for the next one, just under 4, and then 3. So we're looking at 20 years to get to 400,000. But how many years does it take to get from 400,000 to $800,000? 800,000. You can see it's just 10 years, right? So it took 20 years for the first $400,000, but right at 10 years for the next $400,000. So it just shows the power of it. Now, I said as we do this walk, I'm going to talk about the high-level factors that are the most important. So again, no matter how much you earn, you have to spend less than what you earn so that you can save. It's not enough to save, you have to invest it. But I also want to talk about the other factors, and the biggest one that's going to determine your success is not, you know, did you have the next Facebook in your portfolio, or the Nvidia of the world, or the Google and the Apples of the world. Yes, those are important, but for most of us, far more important is going to be our asset allocation. What percent of our portfolio is in stocks, and what percent of our portfolio is in bonds? And you know, early on in your career, a lot of younger people that are making money and are saving money, they might be able to, you know, in their 20s, 30s, maybe even their early 40s, be 100% in the stock market. Now, this is not financial advice for you, but they have time on their side and they're putting money into the account. But as we get older, the way we feel about risk is going to change. And so it's a very rare person that's in their late 40s, in their 50s, or early 60s. It's a very rare person where it makes sense for them to be 100% in the stock market. For most of us, we want to have some bonds, and that's what I mean by asset allocation. What percent's in stocks and what percent is in high quality, short duration bonds, bonds that are going to mature in 2 or 3 years. Why so short a duration? Maybe up to 5 years, but why so short a duration? Because the world changes quickly. And just because a company is solid today and you're comfortable that it's going to pay you back that money, doesn't mean that in the future it's going to be solid. So, you know, the world's largest retailer, do I think they're going to be around in 3 years? Yeah, I'm very confident. I can't be 100% confident, but I'm very confident that they're going to be around in 3 years. But are they going to be around in 50 years, 50? I don't know. The world changes awfully quickly. So asset allocation is really important. When it comes to the bonds, I want you thinking about how many years worth of living expenses do you have in these bonds? Hopefully these bonds are stable even when the market's going up and down. And what I'm trying to help you avoid is being what I call a forced seller in a down market. And where this happens is where people need, you know, to take money out of their account for their living expenses, but the stock market's down. So that's one place people are forced sellers in the down market. But in another place is where people get very nervous. Maybe the stock market's down 20, 30, 40%. And they're nervous that the market is going down and it's causing pain, right? I mean, we just went through how long it took, almost 8 years to save your first $100,000. And it's just human nature. If the stock market is down, let's say you've got $1 million and the stock market is down, or your account is down 10% or 20%, that's $100,000. That's $200,000. You know, $200,000 took you 12 or 13 years to save up. And it's just human nature when you're retired to look at that and say, I just can't take the pain. I made a mistake. I shouldn't be allocated the way that I am. And so the time to make these allocation decisions are when the market's doing well and when you have a calm, rational mind. And another way to keep yourself from panicking during these periods is to realize, hey, I've got 5 years worth of living expenses, 7 years, 3 years, whatever the number is. And I don't need to sell my stocks at low prices in order to meet my living expenses. So thanks for going for a walk with me in today's conversation. Remember, we're saving up this money for a reason, and the reason is to be able to enjoy our retirement. And that's what this video up here is, 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can. Thanks for joining me in today's video, and I'll see you in this one. Bye-bye.